We've been talking quite a lot lately about standards, haven't we? I think I mentioned it to you a couple of weeks back when it was burning hot, and one of the ladies in the office, I said, "Oh, my feet are roasting." They said, "Oh, why don't you wear sandals?" And I couldn't quite explain to them why sandals in an office isn't acceptable, and they thought I was crazy. And for me, it's the same as like a man not wearing a shirt into a shop, even when you're on the beach. Um, And I think this idea that there are still standards is not a popular one.
Well, no, of course there aren't. We live in times where you do you so long as you don't hurt anyone else is the sole moral tenet of society, isn't it? And, well, look where that's got us.
Yeah.
Rampant obesity, only friends, so on, and so on, and so on. Not to mention, people are just slovenly dressed now, aren't they?
Yeah, we were out in our local city. Is it a city? I don't know.
I
Yesterday.
think it's technically a town.
Doesn't have a cathedral or whatever that makes it a city.
I don't care.
Yeah, and like
It's a dump anyway.
just like women in gym wear or pajamas.
Yes, with no
Genuinely.
bra and
Genuinely.
nip-nips.
Yeah,
It's
genuinely.
not nice.
No.
It's degenerate.
I know you have a set of strength standards. Are they your strength standards or
The idea of strength standards isn't mine.
no, I know that, but the
They-
ones
They've
you've
they've come from influenced by a variety of people. Um, Three men specifically. There's Dan John, who is they're all Americans. Dan John, who is an athletics coach, does a lot of work with youth athletes in America and things. Top like really really good thinker and good writer. Mark Ripperto, who well needs no further introduction, perhaps the most influential mind on strength training in the 20th century,
mm-hmm.
I would say. Uh, Not necessarily for coaching advanced or elite athletes, but like he's put barbells in more hands and then had those hands use them productively than I think anyone else.
Mm.
And then Jim Wendler, who's a powerlifter and author of the training system 531. Um, Kind of reading their stuff has led me to the standards that I now rigidly preach. Well, I say rigidly preach. They do, depending on the context, I will adjust them very very slightly.
Mm.
But no, there are a suite of standards that I expect people to meet for them to be considered like strong. And by strong, I don't mean like elite powerlifter strong. I just mean strong enough to be most of the time the strongest guy in the room, get through life without any difficulties, all that sort of good stuff.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to tell you what they are because they're in my books.
Yeah.
People have to pay for my books
Right.
and my coaching. If I give everything away for free on YouTube, Jess, the kids don't get to eat.
No, I wasn't expecting you to. I just then I
Well, you've
guess
got access to my books. Go read my books. You read my
me.
books. You read all my books.
I've read your books. I've read every single one of your books. I proofread your books.
Okay. Maybe you should read them again.
Yeah. Um, I guess then just back to this idea of a standard existing and that being offensive
Oh yeah, strength
generally.
standards are massively offensive. If I trot out a strength standard to someone, generally, if you talk about it, say on an internet forum or whatever, you will get absolutely inundated with hate and oh, I can't do this because, or what about this, or what about that, and invariably it's because these people are too fat or lazy to actually meet the standard. They don't actually have the disabilities, for example, they're claiming to have. And my experience of speaking with people who do actually have, legitimate training limiting disabilities, is they don't actually have a problem when someone comes out and says, unless you can squat, for example, one and three quarter times your body weight for a single, then you are not strong. Someone who's got a training limiting, say, hip condition that means they cannot do that doesn't get offended by this.
No.
They know that they can't. They read that and they go, oh, yeah, well, I've got this legitimate problem with my hip that means this doesn't apply to me. What it is it's the tubby guys or the skinny little weaklings who just cannot be bothered to train properly.
Mm.
And they go, oh, well, what about? It's like, there's nothing wrong with you, mate. There's nothing to stop you from achieving that apart from you. And it's those are the people that get offended by it. It's the same with It's the same with fat shaming.
Mm.
So I get accused of quote unquote fat shaming all the time, and I don't believe that I do, because all I do is point out the known consequences according to health authorities of being overweight and obese.
Yeah.
I perhaps use slightly more colourful adjectives than you'll get on the NHS website. Perhaps I
Yeah.
do use more colourful adjectives than you'll use on the NHS website.
Mhm.
But I'm not doing anything more than that. Just pointing it out. And then pointing out that that is within your power to do something about, and failure to do something about it, I believe, is a moral failing.
Yeah.
That's not fat shaming. I'm not, and what I find curious is, people will come along and say, oh well, what about people with disabilities or this, that, and the other? And it's like, again, I know people who struggle greatly with their weight through legitimate medical concerns, and again, they read it, they go, oh well, he's obviously not talking about me,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
fine. And also, what's also not, um, I think, willfully ignored is that I don't. When I say I use the phrase strong and in shape a lot, I don't define what that is specifically. I know we just talked about strength standards, but I never define in shape, do I?
No.
Because it's necessarily relative.
Yeah.
The point is that you do what you can to move towards that. You're doing the actions, even if that is, just doing chair exercise or something every day. As long as you're doing it with discipline and intent.
Well, look at the changes that have happened to my body and that I've had to make to my training since I've been pregnant.
You're
I've
not training half as hard as you were this time a year ago.
no, because I'm growing a human.
Yeah,
But I've
exactly.
I've had a lot of people not say it outright, but you can tell they think my approach is toxic. Especially when I say, like, dealing with pregnancy nausea in the early days, you have two choices. You can either keep trying to eat through the nausea, or realize that nothing's going to stop it and eat healthily and normally as you did before, because that's going to be the best thing at the end of your pregnancy, so you don't put on shed loads of weight. And women have looked at me like I'm crazy.
When I
Like,
when I mention you, when I refer to you as my thin, attractive, pregnant wife in emails and stuff,
you get a lot of
fairly
that.
well, fairly, it's not hate mail. It's, oh, is thin something that you can be when you're pregnant? Oh, I'm not sure about this. Not sure. Not sure. Tap tap
Mm.
tap tap tap. Send send send. Reply, guys. And it's like, well, actually, there's that, I'll respond with the evidence that is that yes, some gestational weight gain is normal. And I'm not going to quote specific figures because I don't know the studies off the top of my
Mm.
head. But if anyone wants them, just email me and I'll send them to you. Shows that the majority of women in the UK gain too much weight when they're pregnant, and that has material consequences for the risks to both mother and baby of complications. This is the
Mm.
thing, and that they apparently that's toxic. Well, I think it's toxic to ignore the elephant in the room and not actually have these open and serious conversations about, hey, you know, oh, you're the pregnant one. You're the pregnant person. What do you think? Do you see, I was very woke then, wasn't I?
Thanks. Yeah, I feel very included.
Good,
Um,
so inclusive.
I think with the thing is with standards, when you start saying that they,
Specifically in relation to pregnancy, what do you think?
yeah, this is
Oh,
specifically in relation to pregnancy. When you, so the standard is being is maintaining a healthy weight, and that will fluctuate as you become pregnant, what healthy
yeah.
means, but maintaining a healthy weight during pregnancy, um, I think most people would be hard pressed to disagree that that isn't desirable, but most believe that it is unachievable. I mean, some standards, some beauty standards, people say, "Oh, it's not desirable, therefore you shouldn't even try to achieve it." But there are the health ones often are, well, yes, that might be desirable, but it is not in my capacity to do that. And as soon as somebody, a normal person like me, I'm not some zealot. I had somebody at work the other day ask me if I'd got the fitness bug, and I was like, no, not really. Don't really
Training's boring as
love
sin
it.
for us, isn't it?
Yeah. Like I now find a lot of joy in walking because it's a lot of thinking time for me. But I wouldn't say I'm a health nut. Um, but yeah, they for a normal person to achieve something that they believe is unachievable, just gives them brain hurt. And well, emotional hurt, doesn't it?
Well,
Because
cognitive dissonance. So
yeah,
it's that congruence thing again, isn't it? So you have a woman in this instance. We're talking about pregnancy, so
mm.
it's a woman. I'm probably going to get cancelled for saying that, but it's a woman. So you have a woman who wants to be a good, whose ideal conception, self-conception, ideal self is of a loving, caring, decent mother who wants the best for her baby,
Mm.
right? Then we have our self-image, which is someone who is eating all the biscuits to, eating feelings while pregnant and just eating for two and not exercising, giving up an exercise regime that was hitherto well established, for example, broadly because it's gotten a bit more difficult. They can't be asked,
Mm.
and they also can't be asked to do the mental effort to actually read
Push
up
through.
on why, how do I
How to
train while
adjust it,
pregnant,
yeah.
or go and find, not me, please, not me,
Yeah.
but a professional
Who can
who
guide
has
you through.
specializes in exercise and pregnancy, who can help you stay strong and in shape while you're pregnant, in a, relative to what that should be while pregnant, which obviously won't be as strong as in shape as you were before. But the point is, definitely not me. You might go and find and pay someone. They don't want to do any of that stuff. And that clashes with this: I'm a hardworking, loving, caring mother who
Mm.
wants what's best for my unborn child. That's not true,
No.
because the actions and the belief outline, and then that gap causes tremendous cognitive dissonance, tremendous mental pain and discomfort. So we get these vile reactions. Oh, you're fat shaming, you're causing harm, you're nasty, or this, that, the other, to anyone who dares to suggest that, well, you know,
It is possible with a bit of critical thought and effort.
yeah, and actually these consequences do exist, and they're not nice. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want them for my kid
And
or me.
the most frustrating thing is when I have easy births because I know this isn't always the,
Just fall out, don't they?
but I have easy births because I'm strong and in shape. And when I'm walking the next day, I'm then I'm shaved that or told I was lucky or oh yeah
Or a health visitor, Jess. A health visitor coming round and saying, like, making backhanded remarks about seeing you walk into town and back a lot.
yeah like the week after Marcus was born.
We're seeing you up and round walking and this sort of thing. It's just,
Take it easy.
this is a health professional,
Yeah.
allegedly. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. But we need to talk more about men, because I don't like selling to women.
Fine.
I mean, I will sell to women if they can get through me. Then
Well, then obviously you don't want to divulge your strength standards, but then like appearance standards. We talked quite a lot this week about you being bald, haven't we? And how actually there was a guy at the gym who's growing a beard, and his beard's not very good, and we talked about it. And he said, "Oh, I'm receding as well." And I was like, "I'll just shave it." He said, "Or I'll wear a hat." And I said, "No." I said, well, I didn't actually. I had to get home, but I just thought the confidence of which you wear your baldness has meant it's never bothered
Well,
me.
yeah, because I'm in shape. I'll tell you one of the things about the baldness is, when I was at college,
Mm,
I did music tech. I got a D.
excellent.
And I had a one of the lecturers. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was really tall, like 6 foot 6, 6 foot 7. He was really fat as well,
Right,
and
that's
he,
quite
he
an
he
achievement.
had his and he had this hair, but he was balding and a big bald
Mm.
patch, which you could only see when he was sat down. Even then, it was difficult because he was so tall.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the things he said about it, we were talking, for some reason we were talking about, because obviously I've had a receding hairline since I was about 13.
Yeah.
We were talking about what to do with hair. At the time, I was straightening my fringe with my mum's GHDs
Perfect.
to make it look like I wasn't losing my
Weren't you
hair.
dyeing it blonde as well?
No.
Oh,
I,
okay.
I I dyed my hair red once, like red highlights in it, when I went back to school in 1 September, and I was told by the school that I had to have them taken out that night, otherwise I'd be suspended.
Okay.
Good old selective enforcement of policy there, because I
Mm.
was a child they could influence. Anyway, this guy, we were talking about baldness, and he says, "Yeah, I will shave my head one day, but I can't do it now because I'm fat." He says, "I can't be fat and bald." And I was fat at the time as well. I was disgusting at that point, like, genuinely disgusting, like Pete Degen.
17, 16, 17?
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
gross. And like, and I just thought, yeah, that's a good idea, isn't it? But obviously, I was fat at the time, so the point I'm trying to make is that when you have a shaved head, it doesn't. It's not. It works very well when you're very muscular and quite lean. The reason that men are slovenly, though, and they dress like stroppy teenagers a lot of the time, is that they're out of shape,
Those
and they
smart
can't.
clothes
Nice
are
clothes don't. Yeah, the
uncomfortable.
smart clothes are uncomfortable. Not only that, but there's some comfort in a worn pair of jeans. A one pair of jeans doesn't judge you. They expand with you. They grow with your
Yeah.
waistline, don't they? But then when you want to go and buy a nice pair of trousers, say for a wedding or something like that, and you're like, oh, I'm a 34 because of your jeans,
6 months ago.
or yeah, or whatever, or those lovely comfortable jeans, and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden wake up from Professor of Harsh Reality that is a waistband size, and oh, all of a sudden actually no, you're a 38. And oh, that's why they don't do it, because it forces them to confront just how women cope with their clothes sizes and say, "Oh, I'm a 12 in this shop and I'm an 18 in that shop because that shop's so mean." And it's like, no, you're just fat. Same with but guys. We don't have that because we have the
Inches.
inches. But there is a difference in different material.
Yeah.
Obviously, older jeans they grow with you, don't
And also where they sit
they?
on your
Yeah,
waist.
yeah, and shirts as well. Like um, a nice shirt doesn't work when you've got a gut
Yeah.
and
It
things.
pulls.
You get a whole different problems when you're as big as me. Because when you're as muscular as I am, there's a whole new suite of problems where the gut plate that they cut into like normal people for normie clothes, like
Yeah.
it means that they look like wearing a dress,
Yeah.
and they're very uncomfortable to tuck in. But I'd rather have that problem than the problem of looking like a sack of mouldy potatoes when I
Yeah.
try and wear a
The fact that
suit.
you can't wear pants.
Yeah, no, I can't wear pants at the moment either because my legs have grown so much. Um, but no, they're slovenly because nice clothes A don't look good on them,
Yeah.
B force them to actually face up to the fact
To
that
reality, yeah.
yeah, because the nice clothes they had from years ago no longer fit, and then buying new nice clothes, they're surfing along thinking they got a 34 or 36-inch waist. In actual fact, it's 38 or 40,
Mm.
and they don't want to confront that.
Do you know what? I also used to think that wearing a jumper covered my gut.
Hmm.
And I can't remember what it was that I think I put a jumper on him. Oh, yeah, it was recently when I put a jumper on and my obviously baby bump
Hmm.
like shoved out of my jumper and I had to zip it up tight. I was like, I had to zip this jumper up tight since I was enormous. And I was like, jumpers really don't cover a fat belly. But you believe that if it's covered, you can't see it.
Yeah, I don't really know how that's relevant to what I've just said.
I was about wearing like comfy jumpers because a
Oh,
comfy jumper covers your belly, but like a jacket or
yeah,
especially for women
yeah,
specifically.
I just think, as I say, that men deep down they want to look good. Like, so I post, I wear, I seldom, in fact, I never wear a shirt without collar
Mm-mm,
anymore, and I do dress nicely, and I take pictures, and I put those pictures on LinkedIn sometimes to get attention, because
mm,
obviously you have to have a selfie, don't you, for attention these days? And the amount of comments I get, like mocking my clothes, and I know that my wardrobe is not made up of Armani suits, but they mock because and yet you look at them, it's self-evident that they, as I say, dress like stroppy teenagers in dirty shirts and but nice clothes, men want to wear nice clothes, and the more people take the piss out of me for wearing nice clothes, I mean, I know they also want to wear nice clothes, but
mm,
they just can't, but they could if they just did the needful and started lifting weights and going for a run or a cycle or both and going for a walk every day without fail,
mm,
and did that for and obviously stopped eating like a pig, and then do that for like a year, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, doesn't matter, just keep doing it,
mm.
and then you'll be able to wear nice clothes. This is not hard.
The first thing is though you've got to believe that you've got to believe that these things are achievable,
Oh
right?
no, they do. They do. I'm not. I don't believe that they don't believe it's achievable. I believe that they simply don't want to. If you actually press people for long enough, it's like religion. Okay, so people will say to me, Phil, or they will. They don't, but they would if I was to enter into one of these conversations. Well, why do you believe that the Earth's 6,000 years old? And I could launch into a long biblical exegesis as to why I believe that, and they would then be able to ask me more and more and more questions and more and more and more questions. And eventually they would get to a point where they would ask me a question and my response would be, because I believe it, because Bible says. Like there is there's nothing
Mm,
more than that. It's the same with these guys. They might cope and they might be like, oh well, there's this. Oh, I don't believe it because this. I don't believe it because that. And actually, you keep pushing, and keep pushing. And actually, the truth of the matter is that they do believe it. They just can't be bothered.
yeah.
They'll keep shifting the goalposts, but eventually, if they're being honest, which they won't be, because as we know, fat people and out of shape people are liars because they first and foremost lie to themselves about their condition every day when they look in the mirror
Mm,
to believe that that's actually an acceptable way to live. They will say it's because they just can't be asked. You know, Subject to the obvious caveat of people who, through no fault of their own, due to physical and or psychological complications,
mm.
cannot do what they need to do. But those people tend not to get offended by people saying what I've just said about how to get into shape,
Yeah.
because, or they're reading, oh, I can't do that, but I actually can't do that. If you're like, oh, to get in, this isn't the case, but say to get into shape, you need to run a marathon and you're in a wheelchair. Obviously, you're not going to get upset by that because I can't run. You know. So anyway, and on that note, we're done. 20 minutes and 16 seconds.